Welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Sean Palmer, Seth and Sean Sports Radio, and Seth Kamens is not here. It's October 13th, so you know what that means. That means that we are in the middle of tax season. So Seth has taken the week off, and we will be joined by Mitch Beyer, my brother, and later Barry Siegel, to discuss the NHL and stuff that Seth really doesn't know much about, and he is a Devils fan, so there you go. But anyway, before we get to that, let's talk a little baseball for about 5 minutes. And wait, before we go there, you can find Seth Kamens on S. Kamens on Twitter. You can find myself at SULawyer2001. You can see that on the scrolling thing right below us. And you can find us both at Seth and Sean Sports here at StreamYard every single week on Wednesdays at around 5 o'clock, give or take. So I am sick as a dog. I don't know about the rest of you. It's not COVID. I got tested. But when you go to an amusement park and you sit there for 5 hours in a monsoon, riding roller coasters with your niece and nephew, you are both deliriously happy and incredibly stupid. Because at the end of 5 hours, you are likely to wind up with a head cold. And if you can tell, that's exactly what I have today, a huge head cold. So we will be joined by Mitch and Barry later on in the broadcast. But first, so Boston took the series, Houston took the series, the White Sox are out, and Tampa's out. So I definitely was wrong. And Boston plays Houston on Friday starting on Fox for game one, the Red Sox at the Astros. If I'm going to pick a winner of this series, I will pick Houston in 7 games. But it is necessary to pick each of these series, so that is what we will do. In the NL, the Braves they defeated the Brewers 3-1. Freddie Freeman with a game-winning home run last night. And the series is tied between San Francisco and the Dodgers, with Thursday being game 5. We will not know who is playing in the NL championship until the end of Thursday night. And as you can hear, this is going to be a recurring theme of me basically coughing the entire show. There's nothing I can do about it. But I will bring on Mitch Beyer to help me. Mitch is over there. I am Sean. That's Mitch. And Mitch has his Islander jersey on, Matthew Barzal. Hello, Mitch. How you doing?
Hey, what's up?
Hey, so welcome to the show. Thanks for joining. I know you are definitely ready for the NHL to start tonight.
I was ready for it to start last night, actually.
Did it start last night? And I just missed?
There were 2 games. There was the Kraken and the Vancouver, and the Vegas and Tampa lost to Pittsburgh.
Okay. Well, obviously I was on a plane, so I wasn't seeing any of that. But there was some quick last-minute signings. The Nashville Predators re-signed Matthias Okam today to a 4-year, $25 million extension. Yep. Why is that important? Well, Ekholm was going to be the number 1 defenseman on the market if they did not re-sign him. Somebody that the Islanders would be looking at, somebody that the Rangers might potentially be looking at, and other various teams that may be looking for defensive help throughout the year. But he signs a 4-year extension, again, $25 million. Another free agent off the board.
I love the Ekholm signing, but I love the Suzuki signing from Montreal. They got a overwhelmingly young player that is ready to become an RFA next year. They got him off the board. They signed him for an 8-year, $63 million deal. This is going to be the next captain of the Montreal Canadiens. All he has to do is learn how to face off a little bit. If he gets his face-off numbers up a little bit, he is going to be a legit superstar on the Montreal Canadiens within the next 2 to 3 years. So I love that signing. I love a lot of the latest signing, even the Kiefer Bellows signing with the Islanders for the $750K. That with a one-way deal, that means we're going to see him on the island at some point this year with that one-way deal. So,
well, if you look at Suzuki, it's important to note that he got 8 years and $63 million.
yep.
22-year-old center, Montreal locks him up through the 2029, 2030,
season,
which is insane when you think about it.
I know.
We're looking at 2029, but he's 22 years old. They get him for the prime of his career, which is generally the 24 to 28 years. And this lays the groundwork for some other contracts that may come up. Number one, thinking about that would be Matt Barzal and how he is going to be seen as well. There were other signings this week as well. One down in Florida, which is probably the most important signing of the year. Florida wraps up their best player. I mean, bar none, right? I mean, you're looking at Alexander Barkov for 8 years at $10 million a year. That's a sweet deal. It's just a sweet deal for them. Look, the thing about Barkov and the thing about the Panthers is that they do have, and the Lightning there too, do have an advantage that other teams do not have. Florida doesn't have any state income tax. Right. So much the same way as Texas. So a 8-year, $80 million deal is the equivalent of basically what Connor McDavid got after taxes, which was $12.5 million. So Barkov being signed, huge deal for them, probably the most important deal of the year for any team.
Let's talk about the most important deal of any team on throughout the league. Which is not. I mean that's a great signing. I'm not saying it's not, but you want to talk about a signing which simultaneously raised a lot of morale while exactly at the exact same time decreased morale for the fans at the exact same time is the Zibanejad signing from the Rangers, which guaranteed that Eichel was not going to come to the Rangers.
Well,
that signing alone, Sean, did more to help / harm a fan base within a few seconds of each other.
So you're talking about the Buffalo fan base versus the Ranger fan base.
I'm talking about the Ranger fan base that put up a billboard opposite Madison Square Garden saying, "Get Eichel here now." The Rangers said, we like Eichel, but you know what they want up there in Buffalo? They want the equivalent of 4 first-round draft picks for Eichel. So instead, we're going to sign a proven winner that's already here, that the fans absolutely love, that plays on his national team every single time they call, and we're going to sign Zibanejad for 8 times 8 or 8 times 9, and we're going to lock him up for the rest of his career, which the Rangers fan, love because Zibanejad's a huge, huge fan favorite. But simultaneously, they're definitely not going to get Eichel now because they have no need for him.
Well, they also have no room. So
they have no room for him.
There are two things about that, right? It was an either or scenario, as you said. That salary slot was either going to be absorbed by Eichel's $10 million, or it was going to be by Zibanejad or some other player. Thing about Jack Eichel, for those that are unaware as to what is going on in Buffalo and why that is such a big deal, is we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. And I've kind of changed my tune on it. So Jack Eichel needs back surgery. So Jack Eichel wants what's the equivalent of an artificial disc in his back, which has been successfully done, but not successfully done on any hockey player in the history. What the Sabres would like is for Jack Eichel to undergo a fusion surgery on his back. And what does that mean? You're fusing vertebrae together. It has been successfully done on hockey players. However, there is more risk later on in your life of needing additional surgeries. Eichel says no to the fusion. The Sabres say no to the disc. The thing is, the collective bargaining agreement says that this is in the purview of the team and not the player.
Well, let's be clear though. There's a lot more than just a back surgery than we're talking about. We're talking about the number one star. If the star was the highest in the sky, Jack Eichel would eclipse that star for Buffalo. He is the number one franchise face of the team player. So there's that. But there's also the fact that a lot of teams, and you can look at Robin Lehner coming out and saying how teams have not been consistent in their medical treatment of not only their star players, but players in general over the last 3 or 4 years, that this is a situation that's indicative of teams not listening to players for what they need, teams not listening to private physicians for what they need, teams not listening to specialists and surgeons for what players need, and teams just saying, this is the way it's going to be, and if you don't like it, you can F off. And so it's not just about a back surgery. It's about an understanding of medical advice and medical conditioning throughout the league, and this is just a hot button item for Jack Eichel at the moment, right? But there's so many underlying issues with team doctors giving out opioids without prescriptions, with things happening in medical rooms, teams' medical rooms that Robin Lehner's pointing out. And he's not even doing it without evidence. He's going, listen, I know that this is happening in Philadelphia. And how does he know it's happening in Philadelphia? Because one of his new teammates on the Vegas Golden Knights comes over and says, hey, this happened to me in Philadelphia. So he's not going to throw Vegas under the bus because he loves being in Vegas. He's not going to throw the Islanders under the bus because he loves being on the island. So he throws it over to Philly. Philly comes back and says, hey, Robin Lehner, F you. We're totally not doing that. The NHL says, hey, we got to look at this. We're going to start looking at everyone. So this wound up being a catalyst for a much bigger conversation than just a back surgery.
Oh, I agree. But at the end of the day, we are talking about one of, if he's healthy, one of the top 10 players in the NHL. And if Jack Eichel was healthy, 4 first-round picks, yes, he would absolutely be worth that without any question, even at $10 million. And that's what teams are basically judging is how much is the risk versus the reward. Are you getting a healthy Jack Eichel? Now, the thing about Eichel is that if whatever team acquires him is obviously going to acquire him with the thought of they are going to do this replacement disc, right? Because you're not acquiring the guy to have this same fight. Mm-hmm. You have understood this is what we're going to do. So once he has that surgery, it's not like you went to bed.
Right, and he's up and he's back in. Right.
He's playing, right? So until they figure out this surgery thing, he is, let's say, plus 4 months away. So the time frame just keeps moving, right? Every day is another day plus 4 months.
No, definitely.
So
I'm
teams giving up a lot for Jack Eichel right now are saying, all right, well, if I'm not going to get Eichel now, well, if I do get Eichel now and I let him have this surgery, there are 2 risks going on. Chances are I'm not going to have him for this season at all. Number 2, am I going to have him as Jack Eichel? Or am I going to have Jack Eichel before? Or am I going to have him Jack Eichel minus 20 or 30%? What am I actually getting? And no, Mitch, the issue is nobody knows that answer.
No one knows that answer, but that's why I'm just saying, like, the Barkov signing was big. The Zibanejad, in my opinion, is bigger. Yes, the Barkov trade is great, and I'm super happy about it. There's been a lot of little things happening that's under the radar. I'm going to throw out some things to you. You tell me what you think. You know that the Islanders released Corey Schneider to go back to the AHL. They brought up Jacob Scarig from Bridgeport. He's now going to be the backup to Ilya until Varlamov gets his stuff back together. Excuse me. So I think that's a significant move.
No, that'll be a 2-day thing, and Schneider will come back in 2 days.
I don't know, but I like that. I saw that Columbus.
That is a salary cap move, 100%.
Well, I saw that Columbus waived Mikko Lehtonen for the purposes of termination, not for just a release to waivers. They're going to get him. They're going to get him gone. So I think that's a big, not a big move. Big move in Columbus, not a big move throughout the NHL. I'm just saying he's not a terrible player kind of thing. By the way, I think it's going to be LA or Dallas that gets Jack Eichel. I'm just saying.
Oh, I think it'll be Anaheim. I think
It could be a guy. It could be Anaheim, LA, Dallas. I think that's the direction he's going. I think he's going to the West. I think we're not going to see Jack Eichel very much anymore since Dallas is definitely going to make the playoffs. But Anaheim and LA, they're taking a few years off right now. So I don't know if Jack Eichel is going to be super happy going from a unbelievably non-playoff contender to another couple of teams that are not playoff contenders. Jack Eichel has won so many different trophies in his lifetime. I don't know how he feels about not making the playoffs every single year. That's definitely going to be a thing. Also, I don't know if you saw, but Kravtsov from the Rangers was sent down to the AHL. He's decided not to report. So the Rangers are going to trade Kravtsov for something, even if it's a bag of hockey pucks kind of thing. They're going to want him gone. The question is another team going to want this guy if he's not going to crack the 23 and then get sent back to the AHL on that team? So is another team going to want to take the risk of him not reporting to wherever? So there's going to be a lot of that. I think Kravtsov is a hell of a player. I saw him play in the Rangers-Islanders preseason game, and that kid can fly. I'm shocked that he didn't make Gerard Gallant's team, but there are so many quality players on the Rangers, the Islanders. I'm very happy. I've watched all the preseason games that I can watch for the Islanders and a few other teams, and I'm happy. I'm happy where the NHL is going to be this year. I'm looking forward to an 82 game season. I'm looking forward to ESPN back in the mix after 17 years. I'm looking to see what new technology ESPN is going to bring to the NHL game to be more inclusive of.
By the way, I don't want to correct you, but as of 7 hours ago, Corey Schneider and Kiefer Bellows were added to the roster, and Scarab and Hickey were sent to Bridgeport.
All right, well, there it is. I'm only looking at the latest from on ESPN today. I didn't memorize the Islanders transactional schedule. Like, I'm only looking at it. I like Hickey. That's too bad. I like Hickey more than Aho, but what can I say? I like Hickey. I've always liked Hickey as a player. I don't like him in the minors, but that's my personal opinion. Corey Schneider's hell. He's not 2014 Corey Schneider anymore. So whatever. He's good. He's going to be an okay backup. But anyway, I like ESPN coming back in the mix. I love what technology they're going to bring. I'm really looking forward to seeing Release the Kraken. I'm really looking forward to that. I was talking to a few other people. This is the first time in a while that we have 32, which is an even number in the league. So you can have 16 teams playing on a night and 16 teams off on a night. That's really interesting. I'm looking forward to some things that we can't see down the road, some interesting tidbits that are going to happen around the 35 to 55 game mark in the season. Teams that were supposed to be winning that aren't, teams that aren't winning that weren't supposed to win that are, coaches that and yes, I'm looking right at you, Mike Babcock. Coaches that are on the perpetual hot seat, the perpetual never-ending. You cannot get off this hot seat, and eventually that seat's going to get too hot, no matter where you are. So I think that they're going to. I'm really looking forward to the season. It's very exciting. The Islanders open tomorrow night. People are saying, "Hey, Mitch, what are you doing tomorrow night?" I'm watching the hockey game.
You do know that Babcock isn't a coach anymore, right?
Sorry, I meant a GM. I meant as a GM.
No, he's neither.
He's something, isn't he?
No, he's now the coach of the men's hockey team at the University of Saskatchewan.
Well, not Mike Babcock. Then whoever the coach of Toronto is. That's really who I meant to say.
That's Sheldon Keefe.
Shows you how little I give a damn about Toronto. But my point is that all these coaches are going to be on a hot seat. And I'm also interested to see, can Colorado finally make it out of the second round? Can the Maple Leafs finally make it out of the first round? These are teams that are geared for playoff. When you build a team and the team is built as a playoff team. Now, it's great that Colorado won the President's Cup last year. I'm not saying that's not. But if a team is built for the strict purpose of getting into the playoffs, no matter what seed they are, and then from that point forward saying, I'm a playoff team, I was built for this, and then they don't get out of the first round, Maple Leafs, then I think you have a problem consistently year after year.
All right, so we're going to go for 5 more minutes, then we're going to take a little break, and then we'll have my buddy Barry come on. So give me some predictions here. First, we'll talk Atlantic Division. Who's going to win the Atlantic?
I'm referencing some material. Give me a minute because I don't want to screw this up. I know all your fans are watching me, and they're first of all, I'm going to tell you right now from an Atlantic perspective, Tampa Bay is in last place. They're 0-1-0. This is the last time you're going to see Tampa Bay in last place the whole season. They are absolutely going to win the Atlantic.
Okay. I will take the Panthers winning the Atlantic, actually. Not
no.
Now the Metro Division. So, Metro Division?
I want to be an Islanders fan. I want to bleed orange and blue, but I still believe that this is a playoff team, not a regular season team. I think that down there, the Islanders always have that 10-game stretch where they're going to lose. They always have a bunch of injuries in the middle of the season. So I'm going to be forced to take Carolina to win the Metro. I think that they can Rob Brindamore down there. I think that he's built a hell of a team. I don't think they get very far. I don't think they win the Stanley Cup or they get the semis. Maybe they get to the semis, but I think that Carolina is going to be strong. I don't want to discount Washington, although Ovi, they call him day-to-day. We know he's going to play. Everybody's talking about him, getting to Gretzky's record. I don't give a damn about Gretzky's record. All I care about is, yes, he signed for 5 more years. Yes, he's going to score 30 to 40 goals per year. But, hey, if he scores 30 goals for the next 5 years, hey, that's not enough. He needs 164, 173, something in there. So he's got to score at least 40 goals a season to even be close. And that really tells you how great the great one was, because he was insane. Anyway, I'm going to call Carolina. I'm just going to say Carolina.
So Ovechkin's got 730. He needs to reach 863, right? So it's 133
goals. 133 goals. So even if he scores 3, if he scores 30 goals over the next 5 years, he'll make it. If it's any less, if he's injured for any portion of that time, sorry, Barry, he's not going to make it. But anyway.
Okay, so moving on to the Central Division.
I'm going to say Colorado again.
Okay.
Who did you pick for the Metro?
Oh, I got Carolina as well. And I have the Avalanche as well. The Pacific Division.
You mean the weakest division out of all the divisions?
Well, when you have an expansion team, that kind of helps that along, right?
Whatever. I'm just saying they're a weak team, weak division. I'm going to go on a limb, and I'm going to say it's either or. I'm going to say it's either Vegas, because Vegas, they've done well the last few years. They've done well. But I'm going to go on an either or and say Edmonton's going to pull it out this year. They're finally going to pull their heads out of their butts. And you cannot.
So are you predicting the Golden Knights, or are you predicting?
I'm going to say it's either or. I'm going to say
you cannot predict 40%. You cannot take 40%.
All right, I'm going to say it's. I'm going to go with Edmonton. I'm going to pick a dark horse and go with Edmonton.
And I'll take the Golden Knights. Okay.
You can take the Golden Knights, but Connor McDavid is not going to sit and languish in 5th place and suck it like, it's not going to happen. I think he's going to do something. The only thing Edmonton doesn't have is goaltending, but they can always fix that. So.
Okay, so finally, who you have in the Stanley Cup?
Finals?
Yeah.
From the West, I'm going to say Colorado. I think they're finally going to pull it out. And from the East, I'm going to say the Islanders. Because, it's either going to be the Islanders or Tampa. It's really going to be one of the others. Again, From the West, it's a lot harder to pick, I think. I think the West is a much weirder conference. Colorado could be great if they don't bump out in the second round. Vegas could be great if they finally want to get that cup. There could be a couple of dark horses. Calgary could make a run that last 10 games of the season, get in the playoffs. All of a sudden, they're kicking ass. I mean, there's a couple of weak ones. Seattle, you want it. You want them to do well this year. Are they going to do well this year? Well, they didn't get the same draft that Vegas got, where teams were basically paying Vegas to not take their players. Please take our second-round draft pick to not take this player. Seattle didn't get that draft, so they're not getting the depth that Vegas got.
Sure. All right. Who's going to win the Hart Trophy as the MVP?
Connor McDavid.
All right. And I think it'll be Nathan McKinnon, especially if they win the Stanley Cup.
Well, first he has to get past his COVID-19 protocol, and then he can start playing. How about that?
Enough. All right, Mitch, it was good having you on. We'll talk to you soon.
Barry, this is my message for Barry. Don't give up hope. They once had bad uniforms too, okay? They're doing well. Love you lots, guys. Bye.
See you. All right, so the funny thing is Barry's not sure if he wants to be on video or not, but he's currently on video. So it's like I want to hit him right now so he doesn't have a chance to turn it off. But we're going to take a 30-second break, and we'll be right back. Making his inaugural appearance on the Seth and Sean Sports Radio. We'll call him Barry from DC. It's kind of like the New York sports radio. Like, Barry from DC is here. Hello, Barris. How are you today?
Doing well. What's going on, Sean?
We're in the car. Awesome.
I'm not driving, though. Just FYI, I pulled over onto a local road. Obviously, I'm not going to do this while I'm driving, but yeah, unfortunately, I didn't really have many places I could go to, and I had to go into work today, and I definitely cannot do this at work. But as you can see, I wore my one red shirt, and my wife was like, "No, that's horrible. You can't wear that." Obviously, I can't wear the jersey. I do like the jersey. I'll tell you what, I like the DC throwback jersey, but they're already out of them, and they've been out of them for weeks. And I don't know if they're going to get another order, but
you mean the red, white, and blue old school with the caps and the stick coming down?
No. Okay, so that's the original, and I've got one of those.
That's a solid jersey.
That's a cool jersey. That takes me back to when they played at the Capitol Center. My dad would take my brother and I as kids. It seems so long ago. It was a long time ago. But no, I'm talking about the reverse retro jersey, which was apparently just a limited time, limited release. I guess they're not going to do it at all anymore. But it was basically taking the logo from, I guess, the late 90s. It's the Eagle, Screaming Eagle, whatever you want to call it. It definitely wasn't the most popular logo with fans, and basically just changing it up a bit, changing the colors, and they did a bang-up job because it looks really cool. And unsurprisingly, they're completely sold out. I went to the store weeks ago at MedStar where the Caps practice, and the guy's like, "No, we just don't have any more." But so this will have to do for right now.
Well, that's fair enough, and I know that there is actually a website that has all of the jerseys for teams. I'm trying to pull it up so you can tell me which one we're looking at here. So hold on a second. Washington Capital jerseys history. Let's look at that and see if there is Capitals jersey history. Here we go. The jersey timeline. I'm going to bring this up. You tell. We're going to share the screen. Hold on a second. Let's put this one up here. Share the screen. All right. So here we go. So which one are we talking about here? So
the 1 second from left.
Wait. So you're not talking about this one, which I believe is a sweet jersey, right here.
No. Scroll up, or it's the one right there. Yeah, right with the eagle.
This one?
No, I'm sorry. The second from left. So no,
right,
to
so
the left.
Hold on. So this
Yeah,
one.
that one. I'm sorry. No, it's not that one. That's that might have been during the same era, but wait, what the heck? Hold on, keep going. No, that's a Winter Classic, right?
Oh, I like this one. This is nice. The Navy.
Was that? I think they wore that when they played.
The stadium.
That looks like when they played in the Winter Classic against Pittsburgh at, I think, Heinz Field. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I know you passed.
Hold on.
Maybe that was
more.
Okay.
Reverse retro.
Yeah, that's it. That's the reverse retro. That's the one I was telling you about. Yeah, that's exactly the one, and it's sold out. But it's all good.
That's a sweet looking jersey. I may have to get your kid something. I'll get him the jersey and not you, and that way you could be jealous of your child for the rest of the time.
I mean,
right. I'll find it. That's
true. I won't put it past you. I won't put it past you.
I will absolutely find it. So tell me a little bit about what the thinking is down there in DC. You've re-signed Ovechkin for 5 more years at $9 million, which I think is exorbitant for a guy that's going to be 40 years old. is the thinking?
Oh, look, I'm not. Okay, so I'll just be completely transparent. I mean, I feel more qualified, more prepared to talk about tonight's game. But I mean, just generally speaking, obviously, everyone is super happy. And I think most people, it was basically a common assumption. Ovechkin has proven pretty much remarkably durable throughout his whole career, especially given, his physical style of play. So I think I heard Mitch say, he'll get the 30 goals or at least 30 or season or whatever. Look, if he doesn't break Gretzky's record, so be it. He's I think right now only two goals away from, is it 5 all time? So, I mean, look, he's one of the all-time greats, just a natural goal scorer, obviously first ballot Hall of Fame. And he's totally, he has really taken, we weren't doing really well in the late 90s, except for 1 year, 98. I believe it was 98 when we made the Stanley Cup's first time against Detroit, and we were promptly swept, if I'm not mistaken. And there were a number of years where we were playing at, I think back then it was MCI Center, where there just weren't many people in the stands, and Ovechkin's legacy is honestly for DC, I think, is much more than just the incredible amount of goals he's already scored. I mean, he's really helped to turn this into a hockey town. We love the Capitals. Every game is pretty much a sellout. Obviously, years ago there was a big rebranding, marketing effort. So it's, he just really, he's been the face of the organization for years now. And, and he does a lot of good in the community as well. But it's just, look, his legacy is going to be there whether or not he reaches that milestone. Obviously, that's an incredible milestone to reach. And Gretzky himself recently has said he hopes that he breaks it. But I wouldn't really ever count Ovechkin out. I mean, I think he's proven multiple times in his career, he can be streaky. He can just like that, he'll get a hat trick. And in fact, I am predicting tonight, my prediction is that the Caps the good guys will be victorious in overtime, 3-2, and we will get goals from Ovi, of course, Nick Dowd and Lars Eller.
So
now I do want to say, I think this.
Hold on. To your point, so I just looked it up. So in the last, he's played 15 years, give or take.
Right.
In a full season, he has never played less than 72 games. So when there has been a full season, he has never played less than 72 games. There are 81 or 82 games in an NHL season. So he's never played less than that. So that's really important to your durability concept, is that he's always on the ice. So if there's somebody that part of being able to set records in the NHL or in the NBA is being able to play. If you're injured, that doesn't help. So one other question for you: who has made the Caps more relevant? Is it been Alex Ovechkin's? How do I say this? Riding in on a horse,
Russian freight train.
Let's go with the Russian freight train, or Daniel Snyder killing the Redskins brand. Because, look,
you know I'm not into football at all. You've lived in
DC your whole life, right? Except for the Syracuse part, right? You've lived in DC,
right, for the most part, except for a few months here and there in different places.
Okay. So you've been part and parcel of the Washington DC community as a whole for the majority of your life. So when you were growing up, the Capitals were nothing. It was Redskins, hail to the Redskins, hail, right?
Yeah, they literally taught us that in fourth grade. I remember they were teaching us the words to that song, which I'm sure isn't sung anymore, at least certainly not taught in schools. But that's an interesting question. I've never thought about that. But, when I think back about, my childhood, my dad would, have the game on in the basement. The game being the Washington football team. And sure. I remember the wins against, I think, Denver or the Broncos in '87, the Super Bowl win. And then again, I think it was 91 against the Bills. So the question is, which person has had a bigger impact on the DC sports scene?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go, honestly, with Ovechkin, because, Ovechkin, look, obviously you've got Snyder is, the bad guy. And it's easy to pile on, sort of I was going to say when things are going badly, but things have been going, badly for a long time in that organization. But I think the fact that Ovechkin brought us the cup, and united the city. And I mean, I was there for the actual victory parade. At the time, I worked pretty much right across the street in LaFont Plaza from the mall. And I just, for me, that is a bigger, it's a bigger overall net effect of, the overall mood that and the joy that the city felt. I remember on at least one side of the, at that time, the Verizon Center, there are literally people basically tailgating, watching the game. It was being projected on a super big screen. And I mean, I just think that net positive effect, because this is something that, again, we'd only been to the Stanley Cup once. We obviously didn't have any cups. The Washington football team, I don't know when they won their first Super Bowl, but they've won at least 2. I believe they've won 3. So I just think winning that first cup and what it did for just the overall mood and vibe of the city, that summer, and then the celebration afterward too, that was legendary. I mean, that's,
to me, it's you only have, if you're not like me, right, who follows every single sport, you only have so much capability to follow certain sports. So if your body and soul is into the Redskins, your body and soul is probably not into the Caps too, which is probably not into the Wizards. Like, you pick your sport and you follow that sport. So I have a feeling Daniel Snyder has lost enough Redskin fans to the Capitals that have made the sport of hockey that much more popular because the sport of football is just not there, because nobody wants to be associated with that team in DC. I mean, it is just, he has killed that organization. That organization is nothing like it used to be.
Look, I have mixed. Okay, I don't know. I have somewhat mixed feelings, and again, I definitely don't consider myself. I'm a very casual NFL fan. Of course, I've been in a few games. I was at a few games in the old RFK, but I do remember again back to my childhood growing up, and my father was like, "Oh yeah, I'm on the list. I've been on the list for years for the new FedEx Stadium." And that was really when, they were, I guess you could say, the only game in town. I do think it's important. It's worth noting, just from the fan experience. For me, it's a completely different experience. It's really a different crowd. And I don't really mean this as a knock, but I do think that watching the Caps play in DC is more accessible. Number one. Sure. Especially to Virginians. And it's definitely more of I think more of like a family type of atmosphere. I mean, obviously, look, it's not a Disney movie, but I was at a certain NFL game a year or two ago up in the area that you're from. And I'm not entirely sure I'd want to bring my future son. There are some interesting or my son in the future. He's already here.
He's already here. Don't have your wife here to say that. Your future son already? Wow, that was quick.
Yeah. No. We're not moving on to the second that quickly. But it's a different vibe, and I'm much more used to that that hockey, seeing that type of vibe. Now that said, I still have not been to a game in Philadelphia, as you know. I'm trying to see a game in every arena in the league. I've been to about 15, but I've certainly been told several things about seeing a game at I think they play it. Is it Wells Fargo?
Wells Fargo Center. Yep.
Center. I've been told, oh yeah, don't go alone, don't go by yourself, and this and that, and they're going to pour beer on you, and whatever. I'll get around to it.
Right. Exactly.
That should be interesting. But I do want to finish up if it's cool. If not, just let me know my prediction for tonight's game.
Yeah, please do.
Okay,
well,
so
already said they're going to win 3-2.
Right. But I think the storyline here is the continuation of the the incidents, the saga that sort of began last season, where there were, I think it was like 5 fights in the first period, and basically they were getting. The Rangers took some real, they were not happy with what happened.
For those that do not know this backstory, the Rangers and Capitals were playing last year, and Tom Wilson threw a nasty, nasty check against Pavel Buchnevich, and it just started a melee of fights. That's where we are. And then there was retribution on both sides. And that leads us up to tonight's game with the Capitals against the Rangers. You didn't even you didn't even say the Rangers were playing. You just said this is going to be a continuation. My fans are not Ranger fans.
Okay. My apologies. And clearly you are the much more experienced. I don't think I can call you a media personality, but podcaster, I guess, is the first time I've done that. So thank you for setting the stage. So, tonight's, I think tonight's headline is really all about the moves, the pieces that the Rangers acquired offseason, most notably Ryan Reeves from Las Vegas. Most people, I think, will probably know he's a big guy. He's a fighter, limited offensive skill. I was looking at some of his stats. I believe he's actually been in the league longer than I realized. I believe he's got a total career of, I don't have it here, but I think he's got 50 goals in his career, and he's been primarily with the Blues, I believe, over 10 seasons. So, and he's gone, he's been in tilts with Tom Wilson before. So my prediction, it's going to be a physical game. It's the Caps home opener. The Rangers, I think, have something to prove. They're coming out with an attitude. Reeves himself said that. Plus it's like I said, the first game. So I think it's going to be a pretty fast tempo for at least the first period. And I think the obvious choice, if there's a scrap right off the opening faceoff, or maybe just the first scrap, is going to be those two guys. And Wilson is 2 inches bigger. He's 6'4", I believe. Reeves is 6'2". I think they're pretty equal in weight. But that's just one of the big headlines. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be a physical game, and I think both teams are super pumped. We don't have Backstrom. Caps don't have Backstrom. It's a lower body injury. I believe it's related to his hip. But I mean, hopefully Ovi is going to just do his thing, and light him up and start it early too.
Sounds great. Barry, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate your time. Get back on the road, get home to the wife and kid, and I'll see you in December for Syracuse Georgetown.
Nice. Thanks, Sean. Rock the red.
See you, bud. That was Barry from DC. It's like, I don't know, it's a New York thing where you only name the first name and then you go for where he's from. For Seth and Sean Sports, our NHL preview, just to finish up here, if we're looking at teams, remember, top 8 make the playoffs. I'm going to make my playoff predictions right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Top 8. So the Islanders will make the playoffs. The Capitals will make the playoffs. The Hurricanes will make the playoffs. The Rangers will make the playoffs. 4. The Flyers will make the playoffs. 5. Toronto, Florida, Tampa Bay. That's 8. Am I dropping any of them? No. I'm going with those 8. Let's go with the Western Conference. Colorado makes the playoffs. Winnipeg makes the playoffs. Dallas makes the playoffs. 3. Vegas. Edmonton, 5. See, Nashville, 6. St. Louis, 7. The 8th spot's going to be hard. I'll go with Vancouver for the 8. So we got, and for my Stanley Cup, look, I gotta go. Like, the Islanders got their guys. They're all healthy right now, barring any injuries, major injuries. I'll take the Islanders to win the Stanley Cup over Colorado. Yep, that's a homer pick. Let's go Isles. For Seth Kamens, this is Sean Palmer. Thank you to Mitch Beyer and to Barry from DC. You can catch us next week at 5 o'clock for our NBA preview. Seth and Sean Sports on Twitter, SU Lawyer. On Twitter for Seth, S. Kamens. On Facebook, Seth and Sean Sports. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll talk to you guys next week. Have a good one, everybody.